Greetings and welcome to the Northman. Well, before I get started, I have something to say. This game, Nemesis, I'm gonna spoil my conclusion already. It's amazing. The reason for that is because what I'm about to show you is not what you're gonna get in the game. But before you leave, just imagine that this game, as it is awesome. And that is why I spent so much time and effort and money to enhance the game that I already love. Because I love this game, and then I got my own copy, and then I started to upgrade the pieces and components in the game. Because I already loved it. So even though you're not gonna get what you see here from the box, you can if you just put the effort and money in it. But if you don't, the game is still good. So let's get to it then. So the setup is quite easy. Just put out the board, and on the outer circle you put out the number 1 tiles in a random order, and in the middle number 2 tiles, and you just don't look at the rest. Then you add some tokens on top that has some random encounters on it, or events, and shuffle these engines cards, put them out in the correct engine places, and you're almost set to go. But of course that's not what you're going to see here, because I will upgrade the engines, I will upgrade the ventilation shaft, I will upgrade the pilot or cockpit, and add some cryopods, dead bodies, and upgrade the doors from the cardboard tokens that I don't already have, and add some walls to the game. And the walls are now in the way of something else, so I have to add some new markers on the walls. But labor of love, right? The game starts by the ship stopping from being in hyperspace, and you wake up. Well, not all of you, but some of you wake up, the players that is, and you notice there's something wrong. Why are you awake in the first place? And there is a body right next to the cryopods, and it is not looking quite well. So what's going on here? And of course you're all groggy and feeling not so great after waking up from hyperspace or hypersleep. You can't really remember the layout of the ship. You know that the cockpit is in front and the engines are in the back or aft, but you have no idea what the rooms around this ship is. You know that the critical rooms are in the outer edges, and the not so critical rooms are in the center, like the entertainment centers and other stuff. But you can't really recall, none of you can. So you have to explore the ship. Also, you're not totally trusting each other because you're working for different companies. So you're not, well, maybe you're gonna go along here and maybe you'll follow, but maybe you go somewhere else. And what is the safest route? Because something has definitely happened on the ship. You enter the game either as a scout, soldier, a pilot, a captain, or a scientist. And I'm not entirely sure, but the mechanic also. I'm not sure if he's in the retail version, but... And it is possible to get the medic as well. I think this was a Kickstarter thing. So each player gathers their tableau, their deck of cards, specifically for your character, and a smaller cards also for your character. And you place them in your left or right hand, whatever. Some special objectives for you that you can do for yourself. Shuffle your action cards and put them in the action cards deck side, and you are ready. And yes, this thing here is very nice to have, just to organize your stuff, and it helps new players to get into the game and where to put stuff. And this has this ammo tracker here, but it's so real tight and it doesn't work two ways. I have to go all the way around, so I'm just using tokens as is designed for the game. As you see, not all upgrades are upgrades. It just makes the game look pretty, but doesn't really have a functional purpose to it. Anyway, you all have your deck of cards, shuffle those, and you draw 5. Now these cards are your actions throughout the game. It is not a deck builder. You will get more cards in this deck, but they are bad. So you don't want more cards in your deck. On your turn, you have these cards here. You can do 2 actions on your turn. If you choose to do 1 action only, you have to pass for the rest of the round, and the game can last up to 15 rounds. But on your turn, I can do this. I can play this demolition card, for instance. It has a cost of 0. Or I can play a repairs card. In this case, cost of 1. It is depending on the character you're playing. They're all different. I have to play the card and pay 1 more card, any card from my hand, as the cost of that action. Otherwise, you can do basic actions like moving and shooting and fist fighting and stuff. Just pay a card. And eventually you will run out of cards. So the cards are your actions and your options. However, just discarding a card for a basic action or just paying with it, that's kind of tricky sometimes. And that is lovely to have, that feeling, oh, decision making, oh, demolition, well, when I'm going to destroy a door, we don't even have doors yet. But I can also place a malfunction marker and prevent you guys from changing what I have done. Let's do the move first. Just to discard a card you choose, then you move to any location that is connected to your current room. For instance, this one, because it's in the camera. So here you have an encounter or an event that happens. You flip this over and you see, oh crap, there's a fire. There's a fire in the room. And the number 1 here indicates how many items it is possible to find in the room. Let's flip this over. It says engine control room. So this is not a critical room to have, but it is nice to have in any scenario. And I add this token here because why not? Doesn't matter. It only says there's a computer here that allows certain cards to interact with it. So you're in here, but then when you're in a spaceship where something has happened, you start to hear things. You start to hear noises. So you take this die here, this noise die, and you see there's numbers here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Roll it and see 4. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you hear something coming from the technical corridor. You hear a noise here. So the technical corridor is a special place, so we add this to the ventilation shaft. Or it could have been a number 3, or you can even be lucky and roll the X, which is nothing. You hear nothing. Because if you hear too much from the same place, something will happen. You don't want that. But in this case, you heard something from the technical corridor. And rolling for sound is really, 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 really scary. Because, you know, if you find some, let's say, alien, you're not going to fare well at all. And yes, I said alien. Though the game calls them intruders because, you know, licensing and copyright and stuff. But this game is alien in a box. Just look at this tiny, cute creature. Is it focused? No, it's on the face instead. Here we go. This is kind of inspired by some xenomorph, you might say. And yeah, it's painted. Doesn't come painted in the box. Again, labor of love because I love this game so much. But yeah, it is Alien, and it's a very nice version of Alien. But now we have reached a point where I have to point out the one thing I don't like about the design of the game. So let's put aside these walls for a while here. And you noticed the token I flipped over, it said it was fire. So of course you have to add a fire marker to the room that can give damage if you stay there too long. And the number 1 here that says how many items there are in it. So each room here has these indicators here that says how many items can be found in the room. So 1, okay, here's 1. Now we have to find the arrow, like this one, pointing to the current status of the room, like so, 1. If anyone now checks the room for items, you rotate the room to 0. Now, if you add the walls, this arrow is completely hidden. But without the walls, it is still kind of, How many items are in that room? Where's the arrow? No, that's not the arrow. Oh, here it is, 0. Oh, shoot. So, for that case, I have made some tokens to indicate how many items are in the room. So, okay, only 1 now. But it's easy for all players to see. Now, you don't need those tokens because the game comes with a lot of these tokens here that is spent on ammo and damage. You can use those instead. I just don't really like the design choice of having that arrow and spinning the room around. It makes the game a bit of a mess, especially if you add these that obfuscate it even more. So, tokens, use whatever. If you're starting to hear noises that shouldn't be there, you have to draw from this bag here, this Nemesis bag. This bag has tokens in it that checks... Oh, crap. It's an adult. So these indicate which kind of creature is coming against you. And in this case, it is one of those cute alien figures. It just comes at you. Also on that token, there's a number. 1, well, it's a different token. If you have fewer cards than that number on your hand, when this happens, they will attack you instantly. But now, I had a lot of cards in my hand, so nothing happens except I'm now stuck with an intruder. So you want to fight it, then you have to roll this attack die, and it's very easy to miss. And if you try to punch it and miss, you will get a wound yourself. So fighting these creatures is not something you want to do. You want to get out of there early on, or just get a lot of help, or use grenades from another room. Just don't be in the room with it. Now, the purpose of the game is of course to survive. And you want to survive alone. Well, it doesn't really matter what the other players do, as long as you survive. So this is kind of a cooperative game, but kind of not. Because if you don't help each other, you all will lose. But there's no point in only you winning. If the other player win as well, sure, whatever, as long as you win. Because in this game, winning is such a rare thing to behold that you just want anyone to win no matter what. But of course, you don't want to help other player winning instead of you. No. So, to encourage that, all players get objectives. One objective is corporate, which kind of ignores the human value in the game. And the other one is personal, which is just your personal goal in how you can win the game. So you get 2 goals each game. 1 personal, 1 corporate. It's random. It's secret, of course. And when the first intruder is on the board, you have to discard one of your goals. You have to lock in the goal you want to keep and try to go for. And it's not easy. You see, the corporate goal, it might have the goal to make sure that a certain player doesn't make it to the end of the game. Huh, that's interesting. And the personal goal is, just send a signal to home and get out there, make sure he gets home at all, because you can go into deep space, and I'll get to that later. But these goals make it very, very interesting. Now, you can also play a full cooperative mode, which is totally fine. Just having this not trusting any player, it really adds to the alien feeling of the game and the insecurity, and it is very nicely introduced in the game as well. It flows very nice. But anyway, don't trust anyone, but you need their help, and you need to help them a bit at least, until it's time that, oh, I have completed my goal. All of the goals require you as a player to live to the end, to the very, very end. If you don't live to the end, well, the goal doesn't really matter. So one of the goals is to make the ship explode, and you have to get away in one of these escape pods. If you don't do that, you'll die in the explosion. That's kind of self-destruct in nature. Here is the cockpit. It indicates where we are heading for. Now you see it's a card, and it's shuffled, and one random placed here, and there's a number, a letter also indicating where we're heading. So normally it's like this on the B in the start of the game. You can spend, well, first you have to go here to the cockpit, then you can spend your valuable cards just to look at the card, secretly from all players. You can see B, we're heading for Venus. Now in this game, Venus and deep space is a big no-no. That is the same as destroying the ship because there is nothing there. Venus is a planet you just crash into, and deep space, well, you don't get back from deep space and no one will ever find you. Earth and Mars is colonized, so you get home safely, well, you get to people anyway. So that is a safe bet. So right now we're heading for Venus. If your goal is to destroy the ship, it's a good thing to have it here. So you can go here and you see, okay, we're heading for Earth. Yeah, we are actually on the correct track. Do they trust you? A second thing that needs to be in order for the ship not to be destroyed but to get home is to have the engines working. You have 3 engines and their status is unknown. Now you have these tokens here and they are shuffled for each start of the game and added in a random order. So right now, if you get in here, spend your valuable action cards again, you can check the engine to see if it is working or not. This one is working. For the ship to go home, at least 2 of these engines need to be in working order. Now the only way to find out that is to spend your actions to do so. So let's say this guy here has a goal to destroy the ship and make sure it doesn't come home. He goes here, spends his valuable actions, looks at the engine in secret. Oh, yeah, it's a good thing I checked this one. It was so damaged, I have to fix it. Oh, sorry. I have to fix it. And now it is working. Sure. So let's see, just for fun. This one is working. This one is damaged also. So right now the ship is not going to get home, no matter what. So this scientist here just fooled you all. However, if you're not interested in having the ship coming home, you can put on the self-destruct sequence. And then a timer will start here. So for each round, this one will advance, and go over this symbol, which will activate the escape pods. So now you can finally start escaping. And if you escape here, you are practically on your way to Earth or any safe place. So it doesn't matter if the ship is destroyed, unless the goal is to not destroy the ship. But this one will bring you home safely. But once you're getting here, the ship will explode. If you haven't already ejected this escape pod, you will die. Fighting these aliens is bad. Okay, so you need to first of all use cards just to shoot it, and you have very, very limited ammo to shoot it with. Take the scientist, for instance. He only has 3 ammo tokens. So he throws a card, rolls the dice, and this is a miss. This indicates a smaller creature than this one. This one is an adult, which is this one. It would be hit 1 hit. This is a miss. This is 1 hit. This is 2 hits. And this is awesome, unless you're using the weapon that the scientist has. And this is equal to this. And that is 1 damage. Now to see if you kill the creature, that is a different matter entirely. You have this deck here of intruder cards, which are shuffled once at the start of the game. So you dealt 1 damage, you put one of these markers on it. Okay, so you flip the card, you see this is how much health the creature has. 5. 1 versus 5, it lived. So you put this underneath. Next time you deal damage, you take the top card and says, oh, now it only has 3 lives. And this way, the creature can really, really be a pain in the neck to kill. And sometimes, when you draw a card, it has an arrow on it instead. And that means, let's see if you can find it here. Here. That means it doesn't die, it just goes to 1 random corridor and tries to leave you. It can even go back into the technical corridors with all the damage and heal itself and get back in the bag, where you can draw it again with full health. So it's a problem gone for now, but it will come back and try to kill you once again. Already fixing the cockpit, fixing the engines, making sure that the self-destruct sequence is started or not, depending on your goal. And yes, your goal can vary a lot. Like this one, Hoarder. Finish the game in an escape pod. So you need to have enabled the self-destruct sequence to activate these, or activate these in some other more harder way, get into the pod, which is hard in itself, and have at least 7 items with you. Now items are some things you can find in each room, depending on the room. Like this engine control room here, you can find tools, and you have of course weapons, and you have medical equipment which you can find. And you're not always getting the items you want. But having 7 items, just items, takes a lot of actions to find those items, and it's very hard not to use those when it's a very tempting situation, like a grenade and the next room is an intruder. If you use the item, you've spent it, so you can't claim that as one of the 7 things. Some other kinds you need to kill or make sure that one other character doesn't make it to the end of the game. Now that is a bit hard because you cannot fight them directly, but let's say the soldier here is with the intruder, you are here in the next room and you have the grenade item. The grenade allows you to throw at one intruder in a room adjacent to you or the room you're in, but never into an empty room. But in this scenario, if you throw a grenade inside, you can damage the intruder, but you also damage the player. But of course you were trying to help the player by damaging the intruder. Other objectives is just to find certain rooms, picking up this corpse here, the blue corpse, because it's blue based, put it in that particular room, or locate the nest, destroy the nest, and the nest is the home of this beautiful creature here, the queen, and even a goal to be infected with a face hugger. Now these face huggers are not a face hugger of course because of copyright, but they will most likely attack you and go into your body. These are very, very dangerous. They're easy to kill if they don't go into your body, but if they're in your body, you can die very fast, like instantly in round 2 or round 1 even, if you're really unlucky. But one goal is to have them in your body and then go home. It's like keeping yourself as the vessel of this alien creature, and they can do research later. When all players have done 2 actions and they can't do any more because they're out of cards, they all pass eventually. When all players have passed, the round is over and you get an event. And the intruders attack, and you also draw from the bag to see what happens with the bag. It's evolving in some kind of way. All these things are bad usually, like fire. You don't want fire in a spaceship. It will explode and you have very little chance to contain it. You can get damaged rooms, which will make sure the hull just breaches and everybody dies anyway. There's so many ways this ship will die on, and you will die as well as a player. You have the escape pods, but how else do you win? Let's say you fix the ship. Well, you have to wait until round 8, well, until it's 8 rounds left, sorry. Then all the cryopods will open and you can go there and go back into cryosleep. That doesn't help though if the vessel is on self-destruct or is heading for Venus or deep space, because then you will never wake up. You die, basically. But when the ship enters the last round, it goes into hyperspace. Anything that isn't in a cryopod will be pushed into the walls by the massive G-forces of the ship accelerating and just die, killing everything in the ship, extinguishing all the fire, and just make sure that the ship comes back home. So any aliens still on the board will die. So when you get home, you're safe, as long as the ship is working. Or are you? Yeah, that's what catch. That's many catches, but this is one more. As I said, you have your cards, and every time you use the card, you have to discard it, like so. Eventually, you will get more cards, and you don't want more cards in the deck because most of the cards are this, Contamination. You put them in your discard pile, and eventually they will shuffle back up in your hand, and while they're in your hand, you cannot voluntarily discard them until the end of the round. Now, you notice, what is this? It's kind of a red area here. Yeah, you might have seen this from other games where you have to use a red filter to actually see what's underneath. And they've done it in a clever way. So if you study this long enough, you will probably see the words behind here. But that is not the point. If you get the card, just don't look at this area. That's as simple as that. It will ruin the experience if you do. But let's see. You have a card, Contamination. If you actually win the game and come back to Earth or some other way, and you have this, you might still die. Because you can put it in here, this scanner, put the card in, and now you can see a list of words. I'm not sure if they are apparent. Yes, they can see them here. So, this one has Ixnbojek, not a word, is rivid, not Ibskashkig, Igvach, Insred. So they all start with an I and end with a D, because the word you're looking for, or hoping not to find, is infected. So these are bad not only because they clog up your hand, but they can also kill you. Here, infected. Oh, so let's say you have this card at the end of the game. You should take this card with all other contamination cards you have. You shuffle it in your action deck, all the cards, and draw 4. If just one of these contamination cards appears, doesn't matter what's in here, you die anyway. You were infected and you died. So even though you spent all that time fixing the engines, fixing the cockpit, making sure the fire is put out, repairing all the stations, killing all the aliens, and making sure that your friends also made it, you still died because you were contaminated. Such a tragedy, and such a great story. Winning in the game of Nemesis, that is really something to write home about. The story that the players make by playing this game is always something to remember. Can you remember the time when I went into the armory and search for a weapon and there was no weapons left because all of you guys had all the weapons and I just wasted all the rounds in the armory finding the weapon that wasn't there? Yeah, I remember that one. Or the one where I was helping the guy with the intruder and I asked, I can help you with that intruder, but I have a grenade so I can throw it into you. Yeah, I'd rather you didn't help me with that because I would get a critical injury and be that much close to death. So yeah, please don't help me. Yeah, but I don't want that enemy to come to me, so I'm gonna throw the grenade in the room. Oh, I really wish you hadn't done that. Oh, I get a quick. Yeah, that was not so. I wish you hadn't done that. Yeah, sorry, I just don't want that alien. Oh, it's still alive. Yeah, sorry, so here's another grenade. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. My goal was, of course, to make sure that that player didn't survive. That wasn't my initial goal, however. I had another goal, but I was forced to make sure that he didn't survive because my first goal, which I wanted to do, became not an option anymore because of things that happened on the board. But those moments are just so memorable. And of course you can play this as a full co-op as well. It's a great experience then as well, but you will miss out that insecurity of dealing with other players. And that is so fun. It is. But the game itself is truly amazing. And you play with 5 players. You can even play it alone. I did play it alone a few times and it wasn't really exciting because I only played with one character and each game took like 30 minutes to play and maybe I met an alien after 6 or 7 rounds. But with 2 characters, it totally changes the dynamic and it made it a lot more interesting. I get exciting stories for myself and the game just flowed a lot better. And it was full co-op and all the excitement of not meeting these aliens, trying to defeat them, trying to solve the little puzzle of navigating these corridors, extinguishing the fire, keeping away the aliens. Oh, we need to find the weaknesses. Oh, the weaknesses, I didn't even mention those. You can find weaknesses for the aliens and then make it fight them easier. There are many things I haven't mentioned in the game already. And I don't really think I need to because just you can read the rules. I think already now you should have a inkling of this, if this is a game for you or not. It does tell an amazing story every time. I played it so many times now before getting my own copy and making it look prettier. But I will still play the upgraded version, no doubt, because the game is just so much fun. But all those stories, all those moments, and there is an expansion for this as well. Yeah. So the story is, I played this from a friend's copy first many times. Then I got my own copy as part of the Wave 2 shipment that I had fulfillment for, and I got all the upgrades, the terrain expansion with these pods and doors, and also an Aftermath and Void Seeker and some, what's it called? Canomorph expansion. I haven't even tried this. I haven't tried the Void Seekers. I haven't tried any of those things. All I've done is add the extra characters from the expansion. There are 5 more characters. But I am content with this. I don't need the expansion. I've had it for so long now, the extra enemies and stuff. But I have no interest in them because the core game has so much to offer. So yeah, you could be missing out. I could be missing out for all I know. This could be the best expansion ever, but I don't care. I have so much enjoyment with the core game, and the extra characters just add variability. It doesn't need this for the game to be fun. So, do you need expansion? No, not at all. I have played the Aftermath scenario, and it has a campaign from a comic book format that you open up and read, and you follow the events that happens, and it's interesting. It makes a story by itself, and it alters the rules of the game as you play, kind of like a Legacy, but yeah, not really, because you don't physically alter the game, but you don't know what's going to happen. It's just random events for the first time you go into it. But yeah, so much extra content that you don't really need for you to enjoy the game. Now, of course, there's a new Kickstarter coming up with the Lockdown. Is it called Lockdown? Nemesis. It's a new standalone expansion. Standalone that can be used as an expansion. Yeah, it's a new standalone Nemesis. And if that is anything like this, and you don't have Nemesis, and I know it's hard to get, so sure, back it. I can't say that it's a good game because I haven't played it, but I'm not sure I will back it, because I have so much content here already that if I back the new thing, will it get played? Or will I stop playing this because the new one is better? But I have so much here that I haven't even tested. So if you don't have this, I would say that Lockdown is a pretty nice option to go to, because I'm guessing that they will have made the game feel the same and kept the core value where it is, and I hope to have added tokens for the items. But if you already have this, well, then you know you already have an answer. Do you need more? Well, sure, buy more. But for me, I'm actually quite content, but I'll probably back it anyway because of the fear of missing out, you know. If they just add the characters as an add-on that you can buy separately from the expansion, I'll get that one, because I know how to integrate it to my game and I know it will get played. But there you go. Nemesis, a truly amazing game that I always enjoy playing, and it's tense, it's exciting, and it's fun, and I love every minute of it. So I can't recommend it enough, can I? Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will subscribe and tell your friends about this channel, because it's brand new, kind of. I have had it for a year or something, but I haven't added any content. And I will show the video again from the intro. It will maybe make more sense now that you know how the game flows. So here we go, and see ya, hopefully.
You